Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration Podcast. I'm your host, Tarun, today, and yeah, it's not Shravan talking first, because he doesn't know shit about what we're talking about today, so he didn't show up. I've got two guests with me today. We've got Kireeti, who has been on other episodes, I can't remember which ones, and also Bhargava, who's been on other episodes as well, also which I don't remember.
Hey guys.
You're in the Harry Potter one. I mean,
Crimes of Grindelwald, which was a piece of shit as well.
I was too scared to even listen to the review. I heard a bit of you shitting on it. I was like, I'm satisfied now. But I didn't even want to know about that movie.
Yeah, good. And I think we did Shazam more recently.
What do you think we'll shit on more, Crimes of Grindelwald or what we're reviewing today?
No, what we're reviewing today, by far.
Yeah. Crimes of Grindelwald was like a sin to start off with, in my opinion. But Game of Thrones wasn't a sin to start off with. They just fucked it up.
Spoiler alert. You just let them know what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, Game of Thrones. Spoilers. It's a Game of Thrones. Oh, dear.
Yes. So we're talking about Game of Thrones today. Normally, Shravan does a Who Am I before the episode, but I didn't do one, so we're not going to do that.
Oh, wait.
Do an MCU one. Just like, no, go. Make one up. Make one up.
Make one up?
Or should we do a Game of Thrones one?
Yeah, Game of Thrones one. No, I've got one. All right, go.
You got one?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to tell us something about this.
What?
You just want us to guess all the characters?
You're keep guessing. All right. This guy, he's got a massive dick.
Is it Euron Greyjoy?
Nah.
Oh. All right. Is he from Westeros?
Yeah.
All right. Westeros has got a massive dick. Tarun, you got any guesses?
Tyrion.
Oh, nah.
Oh. All right. Is he from a
you
noble house?
either know it or you don't. I guess you don't know it.
Is he from a noble house?
No.
Yeah, probably. Oh, Pod.
Famous character, though. No, not Pod. Not Pod.
Famous character.
Fan favorite?
Fan favorite.
Tragic ending.
Tragic ending, fan favorite.
Wait, is this spoiler? No, fucking who cares?
We're doing the final season. Nah, it's not spoilers. No, just tell us.
It's Hodor.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
remember Osha or one of those guys, like, he's got a massive pecker or something? When he's, like, naked? It's like season 3 or something. He just rocks up naked in the forest. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? Oh, no, season 1.
Is it season 1? I don't even remember season 1 anymore. Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
fair enough.
Good humour.
Good, yeah, that was a great Who Am I?
Like, all right,
he
got
had one clue, and it was the most obscure clue I've ever heard.
Well, I mean, he's a massive guy, so.
To be fair, there's a number of guys in the Game of Thrones universe with massive dicks. So.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to talking about Game of Thrones season 8 specifically. So let's start off with your guys' general thoughts about it.
So season 8 consisted of 6 episodes. The last 4 were about 80 to 90 minutes each. I remember when we first got the news that I think originally they were meant to do 8 episodes, I think, and somehow it went down to 6 or whatever it was. I think we all guessed at that point that would not be enough to cover what was left in the story. And I think that was pretty accurate. There's a lot of things that they rushed through. And a lot of storylines that ended up in places that I think a lot of us felt just didn't really make sense.
Well, like you said, I think it was meant to be originally a bigger season.
Yeah.
And HBO definitely offered the writers and creators more episodes, but I think, as you guys know...
They offered them 10 seasons.
They offered them 10 seasons, but D&D got offered to do a Star Wars trilogy as well at the same time. So many people kind of theorized that they wanted to get onto Star Wars and kind of get off Game of Thrones so they could put all their energy into that instead of this. So they sped their way through this. Well, that's what people say. It could be that they just thought they could do it in 6 episodes instead of extra seasons. But yeah, that's That's what everyone is thinking. And like you said, it feels rushed through this last season.
Yeah, I think. I think we knew we were rushing. Well, I thought we were rushing when we got to like season 6, and like which is the one where is full of spoilers, but Jon Snow gets revived. Start of season 6, right?
Season 6, episode 3.
Yeah. When I realized they're just going to revive him and not fucking say anything about it.
Yeah. Just
continue as if life was normal, and then he just comes down to Winterfell and there's a battle and just keeps like tearing through everything. I was like, okay, no, there's definitely rushing. And then the end of season 5 as well was also... Wait, was it season 4 that he died? No, season 5, was it?
For which one?
When does Jon Snow die?
Season 5 is when he dies, and then he comes back.
Is that Fire and Blood?
6.
Is that the episode where Daenerys... oh, no, not yet. I can't remember.
Season 6 is when she...
When she come over to Westeros, season 7.
End of season 6 is when she comes...
Yeah, okay. When they start doing that time travel bullshit where like Varys is in one place, then rocks up to another, and like things just start happening really quickly, and then I was like, oh, okay, now shit's not really making sense anymore. And then I thought they were going down the road. But it got even worse. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and this season was the epitome of kind of rushing everything and rushing the ride.
So, yeah, as you can probably tell, none of us have really enjoyed season 8. Given that it was the most highly watched TV show last season ever, I think we could probably go straight into spoilers, because if you've wanted to see this, you've already seen it. If you haven't seen it, then you probably don't want to see it, like Shravan. So let's
do you not want to see it? Fuck you. I reckon it's worth watching.
It's definitely worth watching. I think 90% of the issues we have are with the story. You know, like there's still great cinematography. There's still great action scenes. The actors do an amazing job of delivering their roles. It's just unfortunate that the story itself is what the main issues got the thing with. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend watching it so you can bitch about it like us afterwards.
I think
we still recommend watching the season, even if you think it might be rushed, because like you said, it's still shot really well, and it probably the best looking show that's ever been made, and the highest budget for a TV show that's ever happened. So it's definitely worth having a look at, just for the technical standpoints, if anything.
I think it'll still go down as the best show. It's my favorite show. I think it's the best show ever made, hands down. But yeah, it is unfortunate kind of how they ended it. But whatever. Fucking, I'm over this shit.
All right, before we go into full spoilers,
I'm over this. I'm still reeling inside.
Before we go to full spoilers, let's give it Infinity Stone rating. Were you guys on when we've done this last?
We've done this before.
I haven't actually done it. I've seen you guys. I've heard you guys do it, but I don't think any episodes I was in actually did it.
Yeah, well, it's just us three now, so we're gonna have to do the rating.
Alrighty.
All right, so
it's only going to have one stone, isn't it? Just thinking in retrospective.
How did you do it? What do these stones mean again?
So if it has the element of the stone, then it gets it. So
does it have space?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
No, exactly. Okay, so first off, does it have space?
No. Can you think of? No, not really.
There's nothing space related except the meteor, but that doesn't. No.
Hey, if you fly high enough in a dragon.
Does it have the time stone?
Time travel? Oh, to a degree with Bran going back. It's not really time travel, but he does look in the past.
I would probably give it half the time stone, because of Bran.
Yep, half.
I mean, if we're attributing flashbacks to time stones, this is a very loose.
That's
every
true.
movie has a time stone.
Yeah.
Nah, no time stone. No
You're
time
not giving
stone.
it to it.
Nah.
We'll say no.
Nah.
All right.
You're being too easy.
Yeah. Okay. No time stone. Soul stone. Does it have soul?
Oh, not this season, motherfucker.
This
Definitely
is
not this season.
This is for season 8 specifically. So what do you reckon?
I wouldn't give it to it.
Nah, I don't think so.
I think it's specifically lacking in soul. We've got biggest criticism.
Yeah.
Can we give it negative stones? Because that's that's what it really needs is a soul stone.
All right, so no soul. How about the mind stone? Does it make you think?
About how fucking shit it is.
It made us. A lot of parts were confusing, I guess. Like there were a lot of confusing storylines, and
I think it was more confusing.
It made us think for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, what? How does this make sense?
Yeah.
I would say it doesn't have the Mind Stone.
No, it doesn't have the Mind Stone.
Not in a good way.
Power Stone. I would say it has the Power Stone.
What is it? What's
that? The action?
Action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely has Power Stone.
Yeah. Which one am I missing?
Reality Stone.
Reality. Yeah. Does it have the Reality
Is
Stone?
it realistic? I mean, Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it ever? No, actually, if you feel...
It's grounded in reality, though. The show is grounded in reality.
But if you were to compare the rest of the seasons as being like the judgment for what is believable, I reckon this is an unbelievable season. Unbelievably shit and just overall unbelievable.
Yeah.
I would say it's lacking in a bit of reality as well, because none of the character motivations really make that much sense. So
yeah, like if we're talking about early Game of Thrones, there's a lot of like they do actually go into the conflict of like the human heart, and like they talk about character motivations. Like all of that was lacking in season 8, really. So
exactly,
you wouldn't even like in this fantasy world, there were still realistic aspects of it up until season 6, season 7. Season 8 definitely didn't have it.
It was always a realistic political drama set in a fantastical world, so it kind of wasn't that in this season. So I think it lacks the reality as well. Agreed.
Yeah, definitely.
So only 1 stone. I think.
Is that the lowest?
I think that might be the lowest we've got. Is that the lowest we've had?
I think it is.
What else has had?
Yeah, it's the lowest.
Yeah.
So it's pretty shit.
Captain Marvel should have got less.
Oh no, they had Space Stone.
Alright, let's go to full spoilers.
Awesome.
How are we going to do it? Do you think we need to kind of introduce the context of this to the listeners? Or presumably they would have already seen it.
Well, let's assume they've seen it.
They would have already seen it, so unless... Yeah, look, if they're listening to the spoilers and they haven't seen it, then it's their fault.
Do you want to go episode by episode or overall?
Yeah, let's start off with the first episode. What did you guys think of that one?
Trying to go through it. So Danny comes to Winterfell. That's the main thing. Yeah, it's very slow. A lot of setup.
But probably one of my favorite episodes this season.
I think it was. I think it was the best one in the season. To be honest.
Oh, actually, I thought episode 2 was really good as well with the setup. But in retrospect, it's sort of disappointing considering how it played out. But yeah, season 1 and episode 1 and 2 with the setups that they were playing, they sort of built up to something.
I actually reckon episode 1 and 2 should have been merged into one and become episode 1.
I agree, because they were quite, both of them were quite slow episodes.
Yeah, and they're similar in themes, just the apprehension, you know?
And I agree that you don't want to kind of jump into the season straight away and like rush things. But given how it played out afterwards, they probably could have put those 2 episodes into the same one because not much happens, and they'd kind of...
I'm actually surprised that they... Like, if you have 6 episodes, and that's why I reckon the writing was just dumb, is that you have so much to cover and 2 episodes gone to waste. Are you serious? Like, what do you...
Yeah.
Retrospectively, if you think about it, the reasons we probably think these 2 episodes aren't that bad is because there's not much story in them. Hence why we like them.
Yeah. And it's also consistent. It's a bit more consistent to what was happening in the last season as well.
Yeah, there's less there's less instant travel from characters. There's less
like unnecessary twists.
Yeah.
Less subversion.
Yeah. Subversion, that's a big
is the fucking key word of this season.
Yeah, that's
fucking Dan and Dave.
Fucking Dean.
I hope they subversively get shot.
But it has from the start of Game of Thrones, it's been the thing for Game of Thrones though, hasn't it? It's been subversion of expectations.
True, but it's done in a different way, right? Like
it's exactly
the whole
done
point,
in a way that's believable.
Yeah, like the Red Wedding, right? Like George R. R. Martin always said that the Starks were never the main characters of the story. It started with them in the books because that's just how he wrote it. There's no main character of this story. There's no one side to root for. And that's sort of how it's become so popular. It's because everyone's got different views on which side to root for effectively. But when you get to season 7 and 8, it's very, very clearly the North, which I don't mind too much. It's just, there's a clear good guy and a clear bad guy, and that's never really how it was.
But I don't mind that in terms of even season 7. I know, is it just you, Kireeti, that doesn't like it, or do you not like it as well?
No, I mean, I like it. I just think that there's a lot of elements that we're missing from as we start going from 5 or 6 onwards, we just start. There's just things that are just missing.
Pretty much from when they went after the books. So when they finished the content of the books and they started doing their own. They started writing their own storylines. That's when it started getting a bit
As someone that's never read the books, I guess.
Did you never read them?
Because I've never read them. So without having that without having that context and just watching the TV show as a TV show, I think that it stays pretty consistent from season 1 through to 7. Although it forms into more of a, as the show goes on more, you kind of get rooting for more characters and they become the good characters, and then you get more characters that are the bad characters. Whereas in the start, it was more kind of grey areas, if that makes sense. Some characters are good, but they do bad things, and
true.
It becomes a bit more black and white as it goes along. But then in season 8, it just becomes whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Because I think so. Me and Kireeti, because we both read the books. I think season 5 is when we both agree that it was.
Yeah, it's starting getting a bit weird.
Yeah.
When did I think I started reading the books after I saw
season 1,
season 5. No,
season 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once Jon Snow died and that last episode.
That's when you started. Okay, yep.
Then I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like this is actually in the books? Because I was actually in denial. I was like, no way, this is in the books.
Yeah.
And I just previous to that season, I just started actually getting into the lore.
Yeah.
And finding out more things, which I eventually discovered all just from the books. Yeah. And then I read the books and I was like, oh wow, okay. I missed out on quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess it's like any book to film adaptation, right? It's like there's going to be stuff.
It's never going to be as good. Like it's never going to be as good as what you find in the books. Because you get a lot more detail in written that you can't kind of put into visual without it being batshit boring. So bringing it back to season 8. So first 2 episodes, we all agree they were pretty good. Lots of setup, not much to talk about really.
Yeah, good stuff. I was impressed. What happened in episode 1? So these guys arrive, Danny and John
and stuff arrive. I'm trying to remember. So yeah, Danny arrives. They have that whole confrontation and stuff. Like obviously the North doesn't really accept it just yet. They do that banquet feast or whatever. Sansa and Danny have that small showdown between the dragons and stuff. Pretty sure that's at the end of Sam tells him. At the end of that episode is when Jaime arrives. And yeah, it's basically pretty much just set up. Arya
just set up. And then through to episode 2, it's kind of preparing for the battle. And everyone's kind of having their last fun night before they presumably will die the next day, which I thought was a fun episode. We all thought people were going to die, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, that's how they set it up, right? Like there's so many almost farewell moments in that episode, and that's why we thought it was great, because it was like,
I thought that would be the end of Brienne.
Yeah, the end of Brienne.
There was a good arc for Brienne in that episode where she finally becomes a knight.
I thought that was possibly the best part of that episode.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. I thought the majority.
Jaime has a good redemption in that episode as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant redemption. Yeah. Like I thought the majority of the people in that room would have died.
Yes.
In that, just because of the way that they were doing that scene.
I thought my prediction for episode 3 was the Night King would win. He would take Winterfell. Danny and Jon would get out, and maybe Bran and I don't know. It was plus or minus, but like maybe 2 to 3 main characters would be able to get out.
Yeah.
Realize it's kind of futile being there.
Yeah.
And the rest would just be crushed, essentially. Put up a good fight, but it would be over, and that's why there was this massive setup in the previous episode.
Yeah, I think I was along the same lines. I thought that they would flee on one of the dragons.
I thought Greymo would die.
Yeah, Greymo would die. I thought, the Unsullied and the Dothraki, the way they... we'll talk about this in the episode 3 version.
No, let's go to episode 3. Unless you guys have anything else to say about episode 2.
I'm just trying to think.
Really. What else happened in episode 2?
No, they started... I'm trying to think. Arya and Jon meet in the wood in the God's Wood. Is that episode 1? That's episode 1. Okay.
Arya has a sex scene.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I thought that was...
a bit forced?
Yeah, definitely forced.
Yeah, it was definitely weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I mean, they... people Arya and Gendry, but I was like, yeah, okay, in your mind, maybe.
Yeah,
at some point,
fiction,
but what? She just fucking comes back. She was with Gendry.
It's almost like fanfic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. She was with season 2 when she was with Gendry. I think season 2 when she was with Gendry. It was maybe a few weeks or months at max.
Yeah.
Right, and sure they were friends. Well, they come back and fuck. Bro, what a life. Jesus. I was like, oh man, whatever, I'll run with it. But I realized I was giving them far too many chances by then. Already there were sins.
Yeah. We do see Gendry making all those weapons, which was good. I'm really glad they showed him doing that, and they didn't just cut into like this whole everyone's got dragon glass swords and knives and stuff. I'm glad they showed that he's actually doing something with it, which is good.
I'm not sure that impact of everyone having dragon glass. It wasn't really shown because. Okay, so let's go.
We can talk about
episode 3.
Yeah. Let's talk about the long night. Yeah.
The long night.
Oh, that's bullshit name, by the way. The long night. Fuck off. It should be called the Battle for Winterfell rather than the long night.
Yeah,
it's not the long night.
Battle for Winterfell. It's not.
It wasn't even that long, to be honest. It was
the battle probably lasted like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It was cut
40 minutes maximum, I reckon.
Oh my god.
The 3/4 of an hour long night.
Yeah, it should call it like the evening. Twilight.
So there's a couple of main points I want to talk about in this episode. So first off, basically none of the main characters die, which is shocking because they always
it's only Jorah, right?
They cut to the what's it called, the White Walkers like scratching at all the main characters, and then they cut away for like 10 minutes. And when they cut back, for some reason they're not dead yet. They're just they're fine.
I know. That is the that's another thing is like there's no so that whenever people are in desperation, they need something to get them out of the situation. But these guys are desperate for like hours.
Yeah.
I'm just like, are you guys like unbelievably gifted at fighting? Because it seems like you were about on the verge of death like 10 minutes ago. But
it's like there's that one scene where you see Brienne and Jaime like backed up against the wall, and it looks like there's like 30, 40 of those whites jumping on them, and then 2 minutes later, the next scene they're fine. They're fighting in an open field inside Winterfell again, and it's like it's just really poor story progression. Very poor progression. Scenes for the sake of making it seem really dramatic. I think we can break the episode down into 3 things, right? There's the story part of it.
Yep.
There's the really lack of battle strategy. And then there's the actual tactics behind what like the plan was. The plan was to have Bran in the Godswood.
Yeah.
And to have the Night King come for him. And the way that they explained that is sort of like, let's say we gloss over that. The tactic in itself was pretty poor.
I think what we should do, so we'll go through these episodes and then let's talk about characters and what we're missing, because I think that's another thing that's going to come through this is like,
it will.
We're going to kind of go over it now, but like, in episode 3, the tactic was, the Night King is going to go for Bran. Why? No one fucking knows. No one ever gets told.
There's no theory there's no explanation at all as to why.
All he says is, "I'm the memory of the world," but it doesn't make sense because it's like,
what the fuck does that mean? Sense. It's such a stupid thing to say.
Sam gives like a stupid explanation for it, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like a metaphorical explanation. It's like, fuck off, man. Like, and like, even a few seasons ago when he kind of walks, well, he doesn't even walk. He sees the army of the dead, and the Night King sees him. Right? How does that work? We don't know. We don't know how all this, marks him, okay, you can find him. But why? And why don't you go somewhere else then? Or like, what?
Yeah. There's all this hint of like, there's a magic that unites them in some way or other. And it's never explored.
We thought it would be explained in this episode.
In this season or this episode, but it doesn't. And there's a lot of loose threads hanging kind of at the end of the episode that never gets explained.
And I think another thing that we talk about battle strategy, let's talk about, what you say,
then the story, like the main story.
The story, and then and I guess also the implications of it, which is I think the implications of it was my biggest issue with this episode. But
all right, let's start with battle strategy then.
Battle strategy.
All right, so firstly, the very first scene, you see all the Dothraki with their weapons. They're not made of dragon glass. And they were out in the field, and they did not know Melisandre was coming.
Does anyone know how to translate? Did anyone translate to these guys that they're versing like the army of the dead? Because it seems like they had no clue.
And it's like, if Melisandre didn't turn up, they had no impact anyway. But if they didn't turn up, what was the plan?
Melisandre honestly was, she was MVP that episode.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you make this bitch MVP? She rocked up from the north, like she rocked up from the army of the dead. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And how did she rock up? Did she just walk past the army? Did she just walk there?
I'm like, what?
Like, how'd she get there?
Oh, dude.
Yeah. Look, that doesn't make much sense.
It's better than Arya.
But we'll come back to this later. But do you guys realize how the implication is all the Dothraki die? but then a couple episodes later, they're all back for some reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, again, like really poor storytelling.
Like literally all the lights go out.
Yeah, it's the same with the Unsullied. There's the whole scene with Grey Worm, like feeling desperate about destroying the blocks and barricading his own men. And then 2 episodes later, he's got all his men back. Like.
And then also, 2 episodes later, they have all their men back, even though they're supposed to drown as well. So like, supposed to cut to bits, maybe like 100 max left, and then they drown in the sea, and then you still have like hundreds left.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
Yeah,
not hundreds. They have like thousands at the end for some reason.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The other poor battle strategy is putting everyone in the crypts.
Yes,
that was a big. Yep. The funny thing was, everyone was saying you should not do that. Like there are dead bodies there, and
Tyrion says it.
Tyrion. I'm pretty sure Tyrion says it, and I was like, oh, surely they're just gonna like surely they're not gonna do that because one, the bodies, like the people that are buried there have been buried there for ages. Like they would, I don't know if they'd be even bones. They'd be dust, right?
Yeah.
Except for maybe Ned and I don't know. But Ned's body isn't even there, right? Like,
well, they don't even explain this either. I mean, what can you bring back?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, if there's skeletons, they might. I guess it's calcium. I don't know. It might still be there, but what can you bring back? Can you bring back ancient skeletons? If you can, why do they bring back like fucking like bones of animals and shit?
Yeah,
and like you can bring back the dragons, right?
Yeah.
Like
see, a more logical explanation would be the Night King can only bring back what was destroyed by his magic, or what was like, you know what I mean? Like
people he defeated.
Yeah, or people that his whites defeated.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's like an extension of his magic. That would make a bit more sense, but obviously not. But yeah, that was obviously a poor battle strategy. As was the idea of putting catapults in front of your army, in front of the wall. Like,
wait, did they?
Yeah, they put their catapults in front of the Unsullied, and the Unsullied were behind the Dothraki, and it didn't make any sense. Like, they had one shot each of the catapults, and then they were overrun. And it's like, surely you'd put them behind Winterfell, firing over the castle walls.
Yeah.
And you'd have your army inside the castle because that's what a castle's for, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, the battle strategy was suspect. Story.
So...
Oh, no, let's wait. More about battle strategy. The other thing was keeping the dragons in... The whole... keep the dragons in the Godswood, but then that went to shit within
immediately.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they didn't really follow their plan. They had a strategy. They didn't even follow that strategy.
Yeah.
And the Ironborn to protect Bran, like, fucking where'd you get all this trust from? You haven't seen Theon, like, whatever. I mean, even John's seen Theon and he's like, if it wasn't for you saving Sansa, I would fucking kill you right now. And then he's like, alright, you can protect Bran.
Okay.
Story.
Yeah. Alright, story. So, one thing that, and I guess I'm jumping towards Bran mostly, but it's like he's got an incredible power in warging and seeing things, and it's like they nerfed him in this episode for the sake of just that ending scene.
Yeah, but like at that point where he's like, I'm going to go now, and he walks. And he goes into the Ravens. What was that about?
Well, he just fuck off.
That never comes back.
He just like went flying with the Night King.
Yeah, he's like, Brendan told me I'm gonna fly.
Yeah,
you thought he was gonna do something with with the warging, but he literally does nothing for the whole episode.
Yeah.
He just sits there.
It's actually dumb because I watched a few just recaps of what all these episodes. Like, Bran used in the show at least, the first time he uses his warging abilities to use Hodor, right?
Yep.
Initially, and then to shut him up, but then also uses him to kind of fight, and then uses the dogs.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and protect Jon in this.
Yeah,
it's like, what the? Has this guy got more powerful to do fuck all?
Pretty much.
That's essentially what I'm getting. Well, I got this whole fucking show.
Yeah. Because he's so powerful, right? He's got so much ability, and they don't go into any of that, and they don't.
It's dumb what they did.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't use him, which is the crime. They could have done more with him,
and I think
which they don't.
I think the reason why, the fact that they made him into like this omnipotent, thing. He's like this entity now that's not even like a person.
Yeah, like emotionless.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, why would you decide to do that? Because then obviously he has
no character.
Exactly. Oh, so let's make him king. Anyway. Let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like...
No, it doesn't make sense. Because Brendan Rivers, the original Three-Eyed Raven, was not emotionless. You know, he was a normal person.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the decision to make Bran into this, emotionless, heartless...
This emotionless pedophile creep,
Yeah.
basically.
But it's
Pretty
also
much.
like, why? Like, what are you achieving from it? I don't get what the achievement is. And then also raises questions like, oh, so if he knew everything, so everything he does on purpose, or everything he leaves on purpose, which means that, does that mean he has a purpose? Because, I mean, when you go into like the question of fate, right? If you know it's going to happen, you haven't decided it. There's no intention behind you, but you need to do things to follow it. It's just fucked.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I don't know why they.
It's a decision they made, and they ran with it, and they did it very poorly.
Yeah. Well, it was a bold decision.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it was a shit decision.
Yes.
It's very shit because you're not even rooting for him. He doesn't make things interesting. He can't save the day. He doesn't do any. He doesn't. No one cares who Bran's on the team. He's like a liability.
Yeah.
He's most people's least favorite character in the whole show.
Yeah.
So that shows, how little people care about him.
Apparently, that guy Isaac Winstead or something, when he read the script, he thought it was a joke.
Yeah. Isaac Hempstead, right? Yeah, he did. But story wise,
Poor guy.
okay.
He had
such
a sick story beforehand.
Yeah, I know.
The other parts of the story, the Night King basically just getting nerfed at the end.
Probably one of the biggest disappointments of TV shows that I've ever seen. It was just that, like, when that scene happened, I was shocked. I was like, is this actually happening right now? Like, we've built up to this character who we know nothing about really for like 7 seasons. It's been 11 years. One of the first scenes in the show was one of the whites, was one of the walkers, showing themselves basically. And you're like, oh my, what is this creature? Who are they? What is their story? Why are they coming down south?
Yeah, exactly.
What's their goal? What's their intention? Why is he a king? Like, all these questions you have, and that knife that Arya stabs him with is basically D&D going, fuck you to all the fans who have all these crazy theories.
It's legit punch in the gut for like anything to do with this mysterious storyline.
Yeah.
I feel like it's quite similar to lots of people hate this scene as well. The Last Jedi, where Snoke gets killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think so.
It's quite similar to that. Yeah.
Mate, which just proves that these guys are going to direct the worst fucking trilogy. It's going to be the biggest piece of shit. I think these guys just suck. Like, I think they actually do suck. Once they didn't have any source material, they fucked it. And it really shows. If you think of like Divergence as like, at the start you diverge a bit, it doesn't matter. But when you got to continue with that progression, it's so far away from where it's supposed to be. By the time you get a few seasons ahead, you fucked it. You fucked everything.
Pretty much.
And so
it feels as though season 1 to 4 was a fluke. Like, it feels as though that there was such good material to draw back on, and that they had amazing cast members and an amazing
I honestly don't
cover cast of people who did amazing cinematography. I don't know how they did an amazing season 1 to 4 when season 5 to 8 was so much
just
poor.
Started, but also I thought, this whole time you see John fights one White Walker.
Yep.
One, right?
Yep, just the one.
Has that battle, and that's the one that gets the attention of the Night King. He looks down, he's like, okay. And also, have you noticed that they never ever actually say that he could do that because of Valyrian steel? Like, they don't.
Yeah, they don't. It's
implied.
Yeah, it's implied.
But it's like, it's implied because I reckon every fan is telling another fan that it's like, this is the reason why, because according to the books, it's Dragonfire. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, so there's none of that. And then you have this ring of White Walkers and the Night King. Yeah. And I thought what would happen was, you have all these big fighters, right? Yeah. Big characters that are fighters who have Valyrian steel. I thought it would be like
matchup,
7-on-7, like the most epic fight.
Yeah.
No, they didn't fucking do it.
They didn't, yeah. Because you could easily do, Jon versus one of them, Arya versus one of them, Brienne versus one of them, Jaime versus one of them. They've all got Valyrian steel with them. And Sam, like he gave their great Heartsbane. He gave Heartsbane to Jorah, so Jorah could have one of them. It's just like, it would have made for such a better story, even if they killed the Night King the way they did, to have that scene come up, because in the end, the Walkers didn't actually do anything in this episode.
Yeah, they did nothing.
Yeah, except blow a wind.
Even the Night King didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
He didn't do much. Like, what you would think that he could... He fucking got, like... He got hit off a dragon. I was like, what? Okay, that was easier than I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so, but then Regardless just keeps walking. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck? Where is this going?
Yeah, he has that sword on his back. He doesn't draw it once.
Yeah.
Since season 7, when they're
just
marching
as about to, he gets killed. I'm like, what?
Overall, they do very little for the whole TV show. They just walk around and look menacing. Yeah.
And it's clear after the episode finished, obviously, like next episode, it was very clear as to why they did it. And it was like they had no clue as to exactly what the intention was of the walkers, and they wanted to get back to the throne.
Well, they had to keep going because they have to finish off the series. So they had to get rid of them. Yeah.
That's why I was getting very confused when there's a lot of fuckery last season, but also this season, where I thought they need to go and all these guys need to hit Cersei, and I thought they would have to take. I thought that these guys would have to go to King's Landing. Either this Night King army comes and hits Winterfell, and also they did this very quickly, but they've come to Winterfell, they take Winterfell, and these guys have to retreat, and they realize that they have to make their last stand at King's Landing. And when you have an idiot like Cersei there, and there's a whole lot of bullshit going on there, then there's going to be a fight. And I would have thought the most amazing thing you could do is these guys try and take control of King's Landing, and then slowly winter starts hitting, and while you're trying to make people fight for you, then slowly you start getting Dead Rising or something really weird, so that it all becomes crazy, rather than well, let's get rid of this threat, and now suddenly everything's dampened. Like when the Night King dies, it's like, I don't really care what happens now anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like if anyone south of the Wall hears of the Battle of Winterfell, they're going to be like, oh wait, but who died? Like what was the impact? Like there's no impact to the story. There's no impact for anyone south of the Wall to actually understand or even acknowledge what happened. We obviously acknowledge it because we know what a threat that the Night King would have been, but and then the decision to have Arya be the one to do it. The reason that I personally had an issue with that was because it was never Arya's storyline to the Walkers. It was always Jon and the Northmen and the Night's Watch. They were always the one that were fighting this battle. Arya's plot and story was always focused on her list, and on top of her list was Cersei, and that should have been her. Like, I guess if you're going to give her a kill of one of the main characters, it would have been her. But they did it because of, as in their words, subversion.
That's so dumb.
And yeah, that's become the catchphrase of season 8 Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they just wanted to do something different with it, I guess, and wanted everyone to not expect what was coming. Yeah. It's just, we didn't expect it, but that's because we didn't want it to be shit, I guess. So that's why we didn't expect it.
We thought they'd be better at their job.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else. But I think
was there anything else for episode 3? I think.
Well, Jorah does die at the end, which was a
there's a few deaths, but not enough to kind of warrant a massive battle. There's 2 main deaths, is there?
Jorah, Lyanna Mormont does die.
Ed, and the dude from the Night's Watch.
Yeah, Ed. Which I thought sucked because he did so well to come up to this point.
Yeah, and also why did they make Samwell so useless?
Yeah,
because he was actually good. There were points a few seasons ago where he actively took out these whites and he was able to fight.
Yeah.
And now that he knows things, he becomes useless. Like, what the hell? What's going on there? I don't know. I don't get that.
Yeah, look, I think that's pretty much it. But I think one of the main things was the Unsullied and the Dothraki. At the end of this episode, it was like, okay, they're basically gone. Like, there's no more Dothraki. There might be a few Unsullied left.
Yeah.
Next episode, we find out.
But next episode, they're all back.
Pretty much.
Everyone's back.
Pretty much, yeah.
If they wanted to keep them, then they should have retreated.
Yeah.
They should have made them flee.
Yeah.
And maybe... Look, I was thinking that... Well, I don't know. If this was how it goes in the books, I was thinking that these whites make fucking Winterfell their next bloody lands of always winter, and then a new wall needs to be built kind of more south to Winterfell because that's their expansion zone. That's how it's going to be. Because if you want to keep the Dothraki and these guys, you got to move them. Just hide, run, whatever it is. It's just dumb. I don't get it.
Let's move on to the second half of the season.
Yes.
It's very much split into 2 halves, isn't it? The first half of the season is one story, and the second half of the season is a different kind of story.
Pretty much,
and it follows the same beats as the first half. Like the 2 episodes are kind of building up.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
By the way, episode
build up.
3's music gets really, really good towards that last scene. Like,
yes, that's one
so
thing.
I can't fault them for their musical build.
Well, I think you can't fault any of the technical stuff.
That's true.
Well, maybe the only thing I could probably fault, but I hear this is just a problem on streaming, was how dark the battle was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a lot of issues with that. But people said that they felt that they didn't have any issues.
I think if you watch it on an actual copy, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Also, I was really impressed with how mysterious. You know how the Night King brings that cloud with him?
Yeah, that was good.
That was sick.
That was
and
good.
when also Bran turns into the crows and sees the Night King kind of
flying,
just kind of floating and doing these things, I thought that was pretty ominous.
It was like setting up something amazing, and it deflated like a balloon.
Let's move on to episode 4.
Yep.
Once again, nothing much to talk about in this episode. It's very slow and there's just a bit of setup, I guess.
Yeah.
But
isn't this the episode that Rhaegal gets shot out?
Yes.
Of the sky. Yeah.
Oh no, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So like the first half was all set up,
Yeah.
and then the second half was the flash forward time jump thing where they decide to fly down to Dragonstone. Which again, this doesn't make that much sense. They decide to send half the force with Jon going down the King's Road towards Dragonstone, and they decide to send the fleet through the bay to Dragonstone by the sea.
And they knew that the Iron Fleet was there, so like
no.
Why would they just?
Danny forgot about it. Remember?
Yeah, I remember those memes.
She forgot about it. Yeah.
How dumb is that? Like, it's so dumb. It's like Dragonstone is the one city that is so close to King's Landing that you cannot take it for granted, right?
They don't, but they say it at the start of the episode. They say that Euron has brought the Iron Fleet along with the Golden Company to King's Landing, and then like 10 minutes later, they fly down to Dragonstone, and she's apparently forgot about them. It's like
she's having a jolly good time in the sky. She's like, oh, we'll just fly down there.
The scorpions that they're using are fucked. Like, what do you mean? So Bronn can't get a single one on, or he gets one on Drogon somehow the first time. This guy just gets it into his neck.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're on.
But the thing is, in this episode, they're like unbeatable, and they're like, oh, well, Dany can't do anything because of the scorpion, so she has to fly away. Very next episode, she just flies through and destroys all of them.
Oh
God. Look, it's set up.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
This is where the continuity stuff really has, like, there's a serious issue with the continuity side of things. They make the scorpions these incredible weapons of power, and they effectively nerf the dragons of Dany and make it seem as if having a dragon is useless.
In this episode.
And yeah, then, exactly.
And then pretty much in the timeline, it's like, I don't know, like a week later.
Yeah.
They're absolutely useless, and they get destroyed.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But also, like, there's a lot of things that the scorpions shouldn't be useful, because surely someone that's riding a dragon will just realize, if I zigzag or if I, go here and there, then you can't predict you can't get me. It's the chance of getting someone with a scorpion is only high if they're going straight at you in the level of trajectory that your bloody thing is launched
also,
at.
if you fly higher, then they can't get you.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't go forever.
The other thing was that George R. R. Martin has said many times that dragons, even in their teens, are very, very hard to bring down. Like, you need to shoot them in the eye to bring them down with a very, very strong bolt.
Like, what's the point of these scales if they're not resisting?
Dragon scales are some of the hardest materials in the world, and
but once again, they needed to nerf one of the dragons. They need to kill one.
And that's what pissed me off, right? Why bring down Rhaegal like that if he's going to survive the Battle of Winterfell or the Long Night, Like,
yeah, no.
You should have just killed him in that episode. Yeah,
exactly. The impact is so much less, and it's just...
The reason is they needed Dany to go crazy, and I guess for her to go crazy, it has to be someone from...
They wanted everything to go wrong for her, essentially.
Exactly.
As many things as possible. I'm surprised that they didn't take down Drogon.
Yeah. Which I guess leads to the whole...
But then again, you can't burn the city when you don't have Drogon.
So... Oh, I guess, and at the end of the episode, they capture Melisandre,
And at the end, they kill Missandei.
Yes. Which is, again, that's so weird. They destroy the fleet with
but
scorpions.
somehow they get it. What the fuck?
They somehow... And this is weird. How do they know that Missandei was captured?
How did they fish her out? Like, how did they fish only her out and no one else?
No, honestly, it's stupid.
And once again, like, you know, throughout all of this, Tyrion's a dumbass, right?
Yep.
Tyrion's
Yeah,
dumbass.
they make him so stupid in this series.
Like, Varys is making arguments. I mean, who knows why Varys is making the arguments he's making, but because the thing about, fighting for the realm, that's not true. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? He never fought for the realm. If you support Aerys, then why were you supporting him if you were kind of trying to support the realm? Did you support Rhaegar? We don't know.
Yeah, in the books it's very cryptic the way he says it. In the show they take it and they give it the literal meaning that he's actually trying to support the good for the realm. Yeah. But I don't know. That doesn't really make sense.
In the books, I think Varys is a Blackfire.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what they maybe...
Blackfire loyalist or a Targnut loyalist, whatever.
And he wants to get them back on the throne.
In the show, he becomes kind of the smartest character somehow in this season.
He's the smartest character, and then Tyrion, his best mate's like, yeah, all right, no, you can't do this. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Tyrion's like, no.
It's arguably one of his, like in the show at least, it's probably his closest friend now. Like the guy who saves him from King's Landing, takes him to Essos, and he just fucking like
he
rats
just
on
sells
him.
him out. Tyrion's a bloody snitch.
Oh. All right, so episode 5.
Episode 5.
Was there more in episode 4?
Just trying to think.
We talked about
a lot of
it's
setup.
just Missandei dying.
So I mean, obviously, we'll talk about Dany properly at the end of all this, but they suddenly make her desperate. So it doesn't make sense making her feel like the reason she needs to get onto the Iron Throne is because she's the true heir to the throne. Because then her defeating like Meereen and all these places doesn't make sense either, because she wasn't like supposed to be their ruler. Like she wasn't supposed to be the ruler of these other things.
Yeah.
So I mean, no one really believes in this bullshit, right? The only reason that it's suggested in the books is because there's still people that like the Targaryens.
Yeah, exactly.
And the current people in King's Landing is shit.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you need someone new, then it's good to get someone who's already got this Targaryen support.
Yeah. And that's why she's in Essos in the books, and she's learning to rule, and which is why I think there was going to be a contemplation that she apparently was going to stay in Meereen for 5-6 years to learn how to rule for that long. Yeah. And then something happens and that goes down. But anyways, the idea, that's right. The idea was that the ruling or the ruling party, I guess, in Westeros was so bad and everything was going to shit, and they needed someone to come in who could naturally inherently take up that role. But in the show, it's like the Iron Throne is mine by birthright.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it.
And then why doesn't she believe, like, so then she does believe Jon Snow is a true heir.
Yeah.
And then just refuses to kind of really do anything. Like,
yeah.
If you believe in the concept of the true heir must take over, then as soon as you realize that Jon Snow is the true heir, then first of all, his family, like, all right, you have a crush on your nephew, who cares? But his family, so you should respect him. I would have thought, right? He's the only like Targaryen you know.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing is, like, why are you trying to suppress this shit? He's the true heir. Just fucking go.
Yeah.
And why don't you just want to rule together? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you just, if you were in love with this guy, why don't you just marry each other and then decide to rule?
Yeah.
Like, I think...
the fuck? It doesn't make any sense.
I think the point is what they don't get it through in the show, but she wants the power and she doesn't want anyone else to kind of jeopardize that.
Yeah.
And the fact that Jon could be deemed as the true heir kind of jeopardizes her power, and that drives her into madness, but it's not really portrayed in the show at all, I think.
Yeah, it comes down to that they rushed it because of the lack of screen time and the lack of, and it's like the decisions that they made, and they're right, like there were instances throughout the season where, you know, small clicks happen and she can be seen as a bit, you know, erratic or crazy or moving into that zone of madness. But the way it's
definitely
done,
it's definitely not as mad as she gets in Episode 5.
Exactly.
It's like a switch. It's
like a 180 degree.
Took a whole lot of ice before getting on a dragon.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, it's a massive turn.
Well, it's a Song of Ice and Fire, guys. So there you go.
With no Tyrion.
Song of Meth and Fire.
Yeah. All right, episode 5. So,
did you guys like this episode?
No.
I loved the
visuals. Amazing.
I mean, like the action, the cinematography, everything about it was great, except the story. I think we can agree. Even the first I think
5... there was some good parts in it. I think the Hound battle was quite good.
Good game ball.
I thought it could have been better. I mean, I thought it happened. I was glad it happened, but I'm not sure it happened in the best way. I could have thought of better ways to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it wasn't bad though. I would say it's okay.
Yeah. Yep, I think I would agree. I think I'd also say, like, this is where the 180-degree flip between the scorpions and the dragon comes in, right? Like, I was talking to Kireeti about this, but I felt like Drogon seemed like he was, like, I don't know, twice as big as he was in the previous episode. Just from, like,
he
I don't know.
Some size. He bulked.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but yeah, like, you see Dany flying down on, like, what seems like 100 ships with, like, hundreds of scorpions. She burns the whole fleet, which goes into question, why didn't she do that last episode? And then it proceeds to go and destroy the Golden Company in a matter of 20 seconds.
And that does make sense. Let's just... So they're just eyeing each other off. Everything's silent, and a dragon just rocks up and roasts them. You don't see the dragon, and you don't hear the fire. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, this guy just gets speared by a grey worm.
Yeah. And how did Dany come from behind King's Landing? You know, like from the ocean side.
She did a massive detour. She kind of flew all the way around and came back. But yeah, anyway, that's I think it's still all well and good up till the point where they all surrender.
Yep.
And then for some odd reason, Dany decides to kill everyone.
Yeah, she goes nuts.
Grey Worm's like, let's kill everyone too.
And
then everyone just starts killing everyone.
Yeah, Grey Worm.
One of the funniest scenes, I think.
He's like that. It's like, fuck it.
He first does it to the Strickland dude, the Golden Company Strickland dude, and then he does it again to this guy.
Everyone takes a sharp U-turn and starts just like it's basically like genocide. It's a massacre.
Grey Worm speared this guy? Okay, I'm gonna
rape this woman.
That's what happens.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. Even John's like, no, don't fight. And then 2 seconds later, he starts killing Lannister men again.
I know.
It makes no sense.
I was like, why? If Jon didn't want to be a part of it, why didn't he just move away? Like, look at it from the corner. Yeah. Just move away from the battle.
From a corner.
Yeah, I mean, go to the corner and just look at what's
goes to a corner and starts watching.
Sit down in the corner.
That's what Bran would be doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what Bran
can't go anywhere else.
But yeah, look, that whole thing happens. It doesn't make any sense. Dany starts roasting civilians left, right, and center. Women and children who she's like taken oaths in like Essos and stuff to defend. She has this whole speech about breaking the shackles of these tyrants. And, you know, she's obviously become one in a matter of like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It was a very shocking scene.
Well, people make the argument. It's like, oh, in the past she's killed people for things as well. She's like locked these people in a cell to starve. She's like burned all these people.
Yeah,
what's
exactly. She's always had a reason to do it.
People that were often guilty of something, probably not like it was extreme. But they're guilty of something.
Some of them probably didn't deserve it, but they did something to her specifically.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone she kills here did nothing to her at all.
And it made no strategic
but she just fries
sense.
them.
Like, what?
She just makes a barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I was like,
when you watch Drogon doesn't even eat anyone.
Like, it's not even for food.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like, when you watch the episode, she's strategically going to every part of King's Landing and just roasting it, right?
She's just like...
Systematic destruction.
Like colouring in the lines.
Pretty much. It's not even like go straight to the Red Keep. If she did like a straight path to the Red Keep and destroyed things on the way, you could sort of argue, okay, fair. But she's going like zigzag.
That's what would have made more sense. Yeah, if the person she's pissed off at is Cersei specifically... So if she goes straight for the Red Keep and just kills Cersei then, that would make a lot more sense than doing a zigzag and killing everyone.
I wonder if it was like this one horseman that she was trying to get the whole time, and all he was doing was just trying to escape, going through every street, and just roasting him from behind.
And this is something I read about this the other day, but this scene calls into question one thing. When she first arrives at Dragonstone, and they decide not to attack King's Landing, they were like, why? King's Landing aren't prepared for a dragon, or 3 for that matter. Yeah. She could have gone straight to the Red Keep, done what she needed to do, and she would have had the throne. So it just, I don't know, it calls into question all these errors and stuff. But anyways, she does what she does. She roasts a bunch of people. We have Arya as the POV.
Arya on the ground is not bad.
Yeah, she's the POV character, and D&D say that they needed a character that you could empathize with that could see the destruction firsthand. I don't agree that was that should have been Arya. I think that was a poor decision to make.
It could have actually, you know what, they could have actually just got this one actor who was just supposed to be a normal person.
Civilian,
and run with them, had a great scene with them.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
and you would. It's not that hard to empathize with someone.
Yeah, or John. You can have John. He's there. He's in the battle. Like, imagine if you went everything through John's thing, and that's like the progression of, and that's the progression of John's. Like, I guess his understanding that Danny is. I don't think he is. I think he's fucked.
he's dying because he's talking about Game of Thrones.
Anyways, Arya is the character. We see everything from her point of view.
I thought that was shot well, though. That was quite nice.
Yeah, definitely shot well. The cinematography, you can't fault the cinematography.
It was amazing. Those scenes where you see that dragon just going through.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably realistic looking that I was actually surprised. I was kind of taken aback at how good it was.
Yeah.
How nice it was.
Yeah. Another part of the episode was Jaime and Euron fighting.
Oh god.
Well, this is
what the fuck are they
the whole 8 seasons of Jaime's redemption arc gets ruined in about 20 minutes, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we didn't talk about this last episode, but he tells Brienne to, like, he just tells her that he's a fuckboy.
Is that how bad Brienne is in bed? Like, that turns him around. He's like, no, fuck this.
I don't know. They turned. Yeah, they made that decision. Whatever. He goes back, fights Euron, and somehow gets away with it. Like, he somehow wins despite having one arm. And
he doesn't use that arm though. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
That's a real strategic arm.
Yeah,
you beat someone over the head with that, it'll knock him
easily. Yeah.
And no one can cut through it either, so you can use it as like a shield.
Yeah, in Dawn he uses it against a sword and then able to stab that dude.
Look, use it like the Winter Soldier uses his arm in like the Avengers movies, how he kind of uses it as a shield and a power weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so he beats him. Euron's happy that he's killed Jaime Lannister, which again doesn't
he technically doesn't though.
He doesn't,
because the rocks kill him.
And also, those rocks, when it only took like 2 stones to uncover their bodies, so it's like,
and it was
and
only
also,
one pile
if you take 5 meters, if you walk 5 meters to the left, you would have survived.
Yeah, that's right.
Or if you put your hands on your head, I think you actually would have stopped yourself from dying.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to embrace your fucking retarded sister?
Anyways, we're going into the finale talk. I guess everything does happen.
The end of Jaime, Cersei. Oh, yeah, I mean, the ending for Cersei is terrible.
Yeah.
Cersei absolutely did nothing this season, didn't she?
Yeah, what is it? It's millions per episode.
$1 million per episode.
She did.
Ridiculous.
And again, this is something
all she did was stand on top of the Red Keep and say the Red Keep's the safest place.
Yeah.
You know, she has done some horrendous things over the last 8 seasons, right? Like, if you look at season 1, season 2, season 3, she's done some fucked up shit. And to have her die the way that she did was like such a kick in the guts. It was like I don't know, maybe that's how it's gonna happen in the books, whatever. But the fact that there was an opportunity for someone to kill her, and they decided to have Arya walk away from that opportunity because of, you know, her deciding to choose life over death and stuff. I don't know. It was a decision that was made that was just such. If they were going to do fan service, that's the fan service to do, you know? Like, if they wanted to give the fans something like the Game Bowl, they should have just given them the satisfaction of having someone do something to Cersei before she was destroyed by rocks.
I don't understand what was ever happening in King's Landing, to be honest, in the last few seasons. Like, I mean, Cersei, you know, the last thing you hear about King's Landing is the Sept's blown up. That's it.
Yeah.
Do we ever cut back to what's happening? No.
Yeah, you never find out if Cersei was a good ruler or if she was actually like, what was the situation?
Because the people hated Joffrey and things weren't that bad.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. Yeah.
And so she blows up everyone and she destroys the people who are like enforcing their religion.
Yeah.
Right? And then we don't hear about anything. Like, I'm surprised that this episode, when Daenerys rocks up, I'm surprised that people aren't rooting for her. Like, King's Landing people aren't rooting for her.
And another mistake that was made was at the end of season 7 when you see Jaime riding for the north, a snowflake falls on his shoulder and you're like, okay, winter's here at King's Landing. Yeah. And then we were like, okay, great, winter's here. What's going to happen with Highgarden? Is the food going to be able to come in? What's going to happen with like the politics of King's Landing?
It's still fine.
Yeah, they completely abandon it.
Dry again.
Exactly. Yeah, they abandon that idea and they bring it back for the finale.
I know. What the hell?
Yeah.
And there's no actual time change between the finale and the battle.
Yeah.
It's the next day.
Yeah.
It's like literally one day later. It's like, I guess it's cold now.
Everyone was like, oh, this is ash. This is ash. Oh,
yeah.
No, it's
but
fucking
it's not.
snow.
It's not. It's snow.
What the fuck?
Okay, so the ending of season 5, the ending of episode 5 didn't make sense either. Arya rides away on the horse, and the horse disappears, and
the horse never comes back.
They spent 3
I
minutes.
thought it was Bran.
Yeah, they spent 3 minutes on that one scene, And you're like in a season where you've got 6 episodes and each minute is crucial, and you could have so much, I don't know, such amazing footage of certain scenes with that 3 minutes. They decided to spend that with Arya obviously patting the horse or whatever, and then riding off into the distance, only for that to mean nothing in the next episode.
I think it's a indication of what's going to come for the final episode, which is just padded out to the max with useless scenes that mean nothing.
Following Tyrion, walking, the guy, each step is like 10 centimeters. The poor guy's a dwarf. Why are we following him?
It's a fair point.
Oh my god.
Are we done with episode 5?
I think we are.
Yeah. So if we go to episode 6, I think the biggest problem with it is that nothing happens.
And everything that does happen, I think all the main parts, we knew it needed to happen, and we kind of knew where it was going, I thought. Yeah. Not the finale of the episode, but like everything that happens during the episode.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, look, the first 20 minutes I thought was brilliant. Like the way they set it up. Like it was the
visuals.
It was continuing from the last episode. Yeah. And even if the story wasn't great, it was continuing, and that's what I enjoyed. It was like there wasn't a jump, there wasn't anything that sort of turned on its head. It was going from what we saw from last episode. The visuals were brilliant.
The visuals were honestly the greatest. I thought it was the pinnacle of like Game of Thrones visuals. That point where Jon's walking up to the Red Keep that's burnt down, and they have that massive flag. I was like, oh man, this is like so evil looking that this is amazing. And then obviously, I think the most famous video clip is going to be with the dragon wings coming out.
The dragon wings. It's a good shot. It's an amazing
really good shot. Very well done. Yeah. But just before that, we see Jon go up. He sees Grey Worm and stuff executing Lannister soldiers.
Are you talking about how Grey Worm beats him there?
Yeah. So he's like at the bottom of like he's in King's Landing, right? He's in the whatever that place is.
That's right.
He's like talking to Grey Worm. Grey Worm's beheading the soldiers behind him. He walks up. He gets to the top of the stairs, and Grey Worm's like waiting for him. Yeah. And it's just like
how'd you beat him
for a
there?
second? I was like, is this actually going to be Arya now? Like, is this Arya?
Yeah.
Nope.
Arya's right next to him. Fuck.
Yeah. I think I agree with you though, Bhargava. Like the first 20 minutes is very good. Even the part up to when Dany dies is quite good.
Yeah. I thought that scene was done brilliantly. I thought the way they did Dany's tyrannical speech was really good. Even though it was a quick succession to that point.
If it made sense,
it would have been perfect. Yeah. If they did a slow progression to that stage, it would have been amazing. Nonetheless, the speech was good.
For what it was, like if you forget about what's happening in the previous episodes and you just go with it, then it's all pretty good up till there, and up till Dany dies, and for some reason the dragon flies off with her. I'm not sure why, and he burns the Iron Throne. Does he know what's happening? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a bit.
It makes.
I don't know. It was a bit corny. But it was cool to watch, but it's like, why didn't you?
But if you think about it for like 5 minutes, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, in retrospect, it doesn't. At the time, we were like, "Oh, this is brilliant! Like he's destroying the throne. It's symbolically, it means there's not going to be a single ruler anymore."
Yeah.
And we thought there's going to be progress.
Yeah.
To the point.
I thought maybe. Are they kind of exploring? Are they saying that because the dragon's supposed to be really intelligent?
Yeah,
it's the dragon sentient.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they talk about in the books, but I think they suggested. But also, one thing I was really impressed with was when Dany finally walks into that throne room. There's like some really good music, and it's not a normal theme. It's like this chorale or some high-pitched lady singing, but it's dope. Right. It's absolutely dope.
It's a great... Yeah, the music's amazing.
And finally, like, touches the sword or the hilt kind of on the corner. I thought was amazing.
Yep. She never sits on the Iron Throne, which I thought was good.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that the visuals are actually really consistent, not just with, like, one flashback that we had just maybe 1 or 2 seasons ago, but there was this flashback we had ages ago in like season 2 with Bran.
Yep.
And that's actually very similar to this one. So I was like, oh wow, okay. Well done. Like,
yeah, definitely. It shows that they had a plan of how they were going to do it. It's just the plan only extended to the story of the Iron Throne, and it didn't extend to the White Walkers bit, but that's in the past now. But the first 20 minutes was done brilliantly. Everyone was thinking Drogon was going to roast Jon, and Jon would somehow survive because he's a Targ and stuff. But
I would have been impressed if they did something like that.
Yeah,
at least like it shows that Drogon was angry. I was surprised he wasn't angry at Jon.
Yeah,
Or is he too dumb to realize the guy next to Danny's the one that plunged a fucking sword?
That killed her.
It's like, oh, who was it? Looks around.
Yeah.
But he's too dumb to realize that Jon is the one that killed her, but he's smart enough to know that the throne is the reason she died.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a bit of a heartbreaking scene though, like when he's like pushing Danny up. He's like, that was definitely heartbreaking.
Yeah, no.
Reminded me of like when dogs.
But then it also reminds you about that whole journey, right? End of season 1, and you're like, oh man, you got to kind of feel for like.
Yeah, definitely.
I was actually really sad then, more about how they butchered the character. And I was actually mourning for the death of a character rather than the death of just Danny. You know, like how they fucked it all. It's like this should have been way better.
Yeah. There's one scene just before that scene happens. I was talking to Kireeti when I was watching it, but when Jon walks in and sees Danny near the throne, I was like, that's exactly how I imagined Ned walking in when Jaime's sitting on the throne.
Yeah, true.
And like just after he's killed Aerys. But it was a great imagery. That shot was done very well. And then after that scene happens,
so then we have the time jump, which unclear how long the time jump is.
I was actually really disappointed with that time
jump. Yeah. I was hoping they wouldn't do a time jump. I wanted to see what happened after Jon did what he did.
But then after this time jump, nothing happens. It's a lot of walking slowly into rooms, walking around, long shots on people's faces.
Oh, fucking Tyrion
gives
rearranging
some bullshit.
Rearranging chairs.
Rearranging the chairs.
I was like, what the fuck is
Tyrion
this?
gives some bullshit speech about why Bran should be king, and everyone's just like,
We'll talk about that.
Wait, so the very next scene is
immediately afterwards.
Yeah, is immediately all the representatives of the rest of Westeros arrive.
Yeah, so Tyrion gets taken up. From his beard, you can tell maybe it's been a few weeks, maybe. I don't know.
It's been hard to tell with Tyrion.
It's unclear, but yeah.
Whatever it is. He goes up, sees the people. There's a bunch of people there. We know, I'm trying to get the names off. So Sansa's there, Arya's there, Bran's there. Edmure Tully's there. I think Amandali is there as well. I'm not sure if it's him. Someone said that Howland Reed might have been there. I need to see that scene again. I'm not too sure. Robin Arryn is there, as is one of his soldiers from the Vale.
Yeah.
And is there anyone else? Samwell's there and Asha's there as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, all the major houses or whatever are there.
The Dawn guy.
Yeah.
Dawn Prince.
How the fuck is there someone that's...
I don't know if he's at Martell
that old
or not.
As like...
Whatever it is. Anyways, they're there.
Anyway, and they're all there, and then they're thinking about what to do about Jon.
Yep.
And then...
So first question is, what's been happening?
So like what?
Yeah.
So have the Dothraki just been fucking raping everyone in Westeros, because that's what they do. I mean, in King's Landing, because I mean, what the fuck else? What are they doing? So it's just Unsullied and Dothraki just running riot until the North arrives, which has been a few weeks or a few days, or what the fuck?
It's never kind of explored or explained.
Never explained.
All right.
Yep.
So
if there's anyone left in King's Landing.
And yeah, basically, Tyrion gives his speech as to why Bran should be king.
Well, here's the thing. This is what I don't get right.
No sense.
Danny's dead. Why is Grey Worm in charge? Why is he the one? Why are they even like talking to him as if he's in charge of King's Landing? Like, I don't understand that part of it, and why he has authority over, firstly, Tyrion. And I understand why he's in prison, Jon. That's fine, but why he has authority over Tyrion?
Yeah, and also
it doesn't make sense.
They're giving Grey Worm too much personality.
Yeah.
I feel like his personality should have been restricted to Missandei. Sure, he should have been a bit angry, but now to be like, oh, I'm going to be the purveyor of justice for everything that just happened. What the fuck? He's supposed to be the Unsullied. Like, you don't have a cock and balls and you don't give a shit. Like, that's you.
Literally him, yeah. And even the Dothraki, the Khal they follow a tradition. Whoever kills their Khal becomes their Khal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, so Jon should be in charge of Dothraki, but
Khal Aegon. Khal Aegon Targaryen.
Anyways, he's in charge. Tyrion gives the speech. He says it's not Grey Worm's call, and Grey Worm's like, shut up. And then Tyrion's like, no, it's not your call, and he lets him speak. And he makes the speech, and he elects... Well, firstly, Edmure comes up and does what he fucking does. And then Sansa's like, sit down, and emasculates him like crazy.
Yeah.
And then, he gives a speech and says Bran should be king. And Bran's like, why do you think I came all this way? Which is one of the most bullshit fucking lines I've ever heard.
And also the reason, what's better than stories? What the fuck? How is that got to do anything with ruling? Fuck off. I was like, what? Every time I was here, when I heard it the first time, I was like, you must be fucking kidding me. Like, this can't be his proposition for fucking a ruler.
They had a conversation about him being the Lord of Winterfell a few episodes ago. And it's like, no, I'm not even a Stark.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but I'll be
can't
king,
be a
though.
lord.
Oh, you want to make me king? Oh, yeah, okay, very nice. What the fuck?
If you want a story, Jon's got a great story.
Exactly.
His story is amazing. Even fucking Tormund's got a better story than what Bran's got a good story, don't get me wrong.
None of these people have known what it was like at Hardhome and all this shit.
Yeah.
And then finally realizing you're not a bastard. Like, this is... Like, Jon's got the greatest story. In fact, Jon got shat on this season.
Oh, so much. He fucking had like, what, 6-7 lines maybe per episode? I don't know.
And most of the lines were, she's my king.
She's my queen.
Yeah.
Or she's our queen.
Yeah.
Oh, they made him such... Jon is like...
They shat on him and Tyrion.
Jon has had to do everything alone for so long.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the luxury of great advisors or the power. Like, I guess you can argue Dany's had to do stuff alone as well. But anyways, he's had such an amazing story and they really threw him in the shit this season, which is so poor. Anyways, Tyrion makes his speech. Oh, before that, Sam does talk about a democracy. And I was like, fuck, are they actually going to do this? That's a ballsy move.
Yeah.
And then they laugh it down. I was like, oh, fuck, of course.
I was like, why'd you guys even suggest it? Like, why do you suggest it in a show like this if you... Just ignore it.
Exactly.
Are you trying to say, it's in a society where they don't accept... Yeah, no shit. We know they don't accept democracy. Why'd you have to spell it out for us? You think we're all retards?
Anyways, they elect Bran the Broken.
Okay, no, firstly, Asha goes, we're loyal to
Dany. Oh, yeah.
To Dany.
Yeah.
And then they go, say A for Bran. She's like, A. It's like, what the fuck? What happened to that?
Yeah.
Like, you just suddenly switched sides?
She made like a U-turn in like 2 minutes. It was a good speech by Tyrion.
She must really be worried about Arya cutting her throat.
Yeah.
It seems.
But yeah, anyway, he gets elected as king, which is probably everyone's least favorite representative for king. I think anyone would have been happy with pretty much anyone else from the show being king except Bran.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's also, it's not... If they did it better, I wouldn't be too upset at it.
Exactly.
It's just the way they did it.
Like, it very well could be the way George ends his series as well.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not.
But he's probably...
He's not.
Hopefully
it's
not.
It's probably going to be done. It's probably going to be better done.
Well, I mean, in the books, I don't think there's going to be a throne at the end.
Yeah.
Really don't think there's going to be that.
I don't think it's about King's Landing. It'll get to a stage where it's not about King's Landing.
It's not, yeah. Well, that's what it's going to be.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But yeah, so he gets elected, but they make one change, and that's a council will elect the king. But the problem is that over time, that process can get very diluted and get very corrupted in the way that they elect kings. It can return to the old system very easily, and that's the issue I had.
Yeah.
There's no real progress. Like when they burnt the Iron Throne, like when Drogon does that, I was like, oh great, they're making some change, but they go back to the whole king system. So, don't know.
And then also, like, Bronn is master of coin. You fuck off.
Yeah.
Bronn, like, betrays Tyrion and pretty much decides, the sister that hates him decides to work for her, decides to nearly, like, or threaten them with somehow creep into Winterfell, threaten them, and now he's master of coin.
And they give him Highgarden. Like, what the fuck?
Like, I don't know what the fuck. Okay, so Bronn, like, that character wasn't even supposed to be... is overly portrayed in the show, like, unnecessarily. Yeah. Stupid character after a while because he just becomes a dick and no one really cares about him.
He was brilliant in season 4, 5, in season 3 to 5.
3, yeah. Or, no, 1.
Season 1 he was great.
1 to, yeah.
The other thing is...
Yeah, I mean, Sam learns a lot of things and doesn't fucking apply them. That's what we get to, right? He becomes the Arch Mesa and fucking no one cares.
Yeah. Bran and Sam spend ages discussing Jon's true identity, and that's not brought up once in that council, and that pissed me off so much. I was like, is no one going to mention
the whole thing? Well, to be honest, the whole R plus L equals J got shat on so much in the last 2 seasons that why did we even think about it?
Yeah.
The problem with season 8 is a lot of the plot points that are built up during the other seasons never get explored or never get really talked about during it. And in this final episode, you think that some of them will be discussed, but in the end, it's kind of everyone just sails off and does their own thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And why does everyone allow... So, I mean, how likely is it that all these other 6 kingdoms would actually just say, yeah, sure, the North can be separate?
Yeah, it doesn't make
Like, why was there no kind of, pushback at least? Oh, there's a Stark that's a king and he's letting the North be... What the... Like, people will be like, that's fucking corrupt as hell.
Yeah.
The first decision he's made is corrupt.
Yeah.
Like, there's corruption already. It's all going to go to shit. But
then, who else is there? Yeah, okay, Brienne, whatever, doesn't matter.
Brienne's scene was good, I thought.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Heartbreaking,
Her story
to say
was
the least.
good. Yeah.
But also, I think everyone is annoyed that the ink wasn't dry.
The book, yeah.
She
slams
not
the
even
book
dry
shut.
and
Yeah.
Okay, look.
Apparently that's a metaphor for the show.
Yeah.
Ink
ink
wasn't
is not
dry,
Yeah, that's
it's
fair
incomplete, and they fucking
Yeah.
slammed it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about each character and their endings, right? So minor characters: Brienne, Pod, Davos, on the council.
Davos should have given...
I feel like
Davos
I feel like they
more.
all get the endings we want them to get,
Yeah.
but it's not deserved.
Yeah. I mean, like, I loved Davos on the council. I loved Pod being knighted. I loved Brienne having the what is the name? The head commander of the Kingsguard or whatever. Lord Commander of the Kings. Is it Lord Commander
Of the...
of the Kingsguard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. That was brilliant.
Is it Lord Commander? That's the Night's Watch.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't know. Whatever it is, the head, whatever the. Bronn, I wasn't too happy with him being Master of Coin, as it showed. I mean, so he was more like, I know they were just making a joke, but he was more happy to fund the brothels than he was the cities. Like, that's just like, why would you have him on the council? You know?
Yeah, this guy's gonna literally run the city into the ground.
Yeah. And then Bran makes an appearance for like 2 seconds.
Oh, and then he teases, maybe I can find Drogon.
Yeah. Nothing. That would have been an amazing way to end the show.
Honestly, that's what everyone was thinking. Is like, okay, Bran's gonna be here. There's dragons, and we need them. How about this guy who is almighty
Powerful,
can walk into a fucking dragon and use that shit?
Yeah.
Oh no, don't even get a scene of him trying to find a dragon at the end.
Yeah.
What a tragedy.
And then Sam is Grand Maester.
Yes, Sam is Grand Maester, but not Archmaester, which was really interesting because, like, who's the Archmaester in Old Town? Like, is he corresponding with someone in Old Town, or is there another Maester in King's Landing that he has to work with? I don't know. But he writes. They get the book. He only contributes to the title, and Tyrion's not even in the story. And I was like, is that a gag? Like, why are they doing this? Like,
yeah. I know. I didn't understand that. It's like, why do you even bring this up? I think they're trying to follow Lord of the Rings too much.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Lord of the Rings, because he writes that book, doesn't he? Bilbo writes the book.
Bilbo writes the book. Bilbo writes There and Back Again. Frodo writes The Lord of the Rings, and then he gives the book to Sam, and Sam has a full, like, I don't know, some 20 pages.
Which is like, it's a story of what they just experienced.
Yeah.
Fucking, why are they trying to make it so cliched?
Yeah, very cliched.
And then from there we get the main characters.
Yeah.
Well, the main characters' endings.
Yep.
So the Starks.
Hey, Sansa's ending I thought was okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Look, I mean, her character was good.
Sansa.
It works. Yeah. Sansa. I wasn't too unhappy.
I thought all of them were not too bad. Just once again not deserved.
Well,
except for Jon's. I didn't like Jon's one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my issue with Arya
was that this whole time she learns how to become a faceless person. Doesn't use that ever again, except for the phrase, right? Lord Frey, a Ward of Frey, to kill him. Never uses it. Like, doesn't use it with the Night King and doesn't try to use it in King's Landing. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
How
it's a thing
stupid
that
is
they
that?
explore for so long and just never go back to it. So
and then suddenly she becomes an explorer. I think someone was bringing this up in something I listened to. It's so true. The whole point of Arya, she was trying to get back to her family.
Yeah.
Right? And her family's still in kind of tatters. They haven't figured shit out yet.
Yeah.
Jon's about to go to the north. And then there's Sansa. And Arya's just like, fuck it. I'm just going to go sailing.
Yeah. Like, the metaphor behind her story was that, and this is what Ned tells her, but in the winter, the lone wolf dies while the pack survives.
Yeah.
And that's always been a thing. She wants to return to the pack. And I just feel like they didn't give us enough time of her with her pack before she decided to go on her adventure. If they did this, 5 months later, she's been with Sansa in Winterfell or Jon north of the Wall, and then decides to travel. That would have been alright with me. But yeah, she decides to travel west of Westeros, which I'm pretty sure she'll get east of Essos. So she'll end up at what's that, Ashai? The most eastern place? Yeah, like the City of Darkness or whatever, but I don't know. But yeah, I didn't mind her story. That was a good ending.
I didn't mind hers either, yeah. But Jon's one is a bit stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, because the Unsullied are the only ones that really advocate for him being incarcerated, and then they leave, and they're like,
he could literally come straight back.
Oh, I guess Asha would do that as well. But
what
still,
the fuck is the Night's like? They don't. There's a Night's Watch. Even John
Why
was
do they
surprised
need the
at that.
Night's Watch anymore?
And what are you watching? The war that is broken.
See, this is where I'm confused, right? There's people say two different things. One group are saying that he goes north of the wall to actually live with the wildlings and be king beyond the wall. And there's another group
I think
saying...
that's what he does.
Yeah, but there's another group that's saying
that's
that...
what he does.
I think he's just going to live a life.
No, not king beyond the wall. He's
living beyond the wall.
To live
I
with
think
the
he's
wildlings.
just sick of the fucking realm.
Yeah,
I think he's
maybe.
Like, Fuck this, I'm out.
But there's another group that says that he's only going to escort them north of the wall and he will return it. And they will return south. Which is like...
I think he's going to just go north of the wall and
why
just
does he
live
need
there.
to escort them though? Against what? You would think that the threat's over the way this stupid piece of shit show is written.
Yeah. Well, I assume just because I think that Tormund says that he wants to take his men north of the wall, and Jon says something about maybe going with them. Remember that when they said the goodbye in episode 4?
Yeah.
When Jon goes south. Anyways, we see Ghost again. Thank God for Ghost.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
And he's missing an ear.
Ghost finally got a good ending.
Guy, man. Poor boy. What a good boy.
Jon doesn't even care that his dog's injured in that other episode. It's like, come on, man. Like,
at least pat him or something.
I think that's what
doesn't deserve to be king after that bullshit.
Oh fuck.
Tormund. Oh yeah, I'm glad we get to see Tormund again. The wildlings again. And we see Sansa being crowned. Which
that montage I thought was really nice.
Yeah.
Like really, really.
Yeah,
good.
it was good, and the music was great as well.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the crown on Sansa. Like, I get that she's the queen.
Is it 2 wolves? What is it?
Yeah, 2 wolves. But it's like
It's Rob's
are they
thing.
going back to the old kings of winter? Like, is that what's going to happen? I'm not too sure. Yeah, like I would have been happier if she didn't have a crown. It was more not symbolic, but like everyone knew she was queen. She didn't need to have the crown on her head. Who else?
But I guess they did separate. So
they did.
it's a
Yeah,
kingdom.
that's true. We don't see any of Dorne. We don't see Highgarden. We don't see the Riverlands.
I mean, they bail on everything. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think they only kind of give resolution to the Stark story in the end.
Yeah, pretty much.
And everyone else is kind of shoved to the side.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what happens to the rest of them. But
I really enjoyed that.
I guess that's it.
Definitely enjoyed the music. I like the fact that they did like the main Game of Thrones music when Jon finally rides out.
Yep.
Like with the actual like orchestra and choir and everything. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
this is good. It was a good send off. It was
it's the best send off. I mean, they had to kind of
it's
run
the
it
best
with
send off
this.
you could get with everything that's happened.
All the sins they've committed. Yeah.
See, this is my thing though, right? Like, imagine if Jon was king of the Seven Kingdoms, and he did that scene anyway. To escort them north of the wall. Like,
that would have been
it would
way
have
more
it
impactful.
would have had even more impact, which just shows that decisions that could have been made to make the story so much better.
That's so true. I was hoping that like eventually like King's Landing goes to shit and they just choose to rule from somewhere else and different things happen. Imagine if he chooses that he's gonna rule from like fucking the Night's Watch.
That would have
like
been interesting.
Castle Black.
Yeah.
I mean it doesn't make any geographical sense, but like or you build a new kingdom, or you work out of Harrenhal, which is kind of right in the middle of Westeros.
Yeah.
So just something.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no thinking. There's nothing behind any of this.
Yeah. But it is what it is. It's finished now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all done now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think because of the high standards we set for Game of Thrones, I guess it feels a lot worse. We very much talk down this season, but compared to most other TV shows, it's still pretty good.
Oh yeah. It's in a league of its own, which is why I think we were so critical of it, and it's because it was done so well. When a show sets the bar that high, it only has itself to compare to.
Yeah,
so it's like,
exactly. Which is why we're so tough on it. But overall, if you love Game of Thrones, you've already seen this, so it doesn't matter.
The question is, and this is a question I will pose to both of you: can you rewatch the show from start to finish?
I can watch the start.
Yep.
That's definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
I love the start. I think
The first few seasons are
Okay, cool. How about you, Tarun? Because I just want to know, because I know my mates were discussing this, and one of them was saying that it sort of feels tainted.
because you know how it's
Because you know how it sort of ends and stuff, and it's like every scene with the White Walker wouldn't really
just
make
pretend
it
like it was never this season never happened.
Yeah.
I think you can still rewatch it and have just as much fun with it as you did previously. Just try and ignore what happened at the end, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was thinking about this, but I really want to rewatch, like, Battle of Hardhome and stuff like that, just because of how amazing that scene was done, and how much effort like the cast and crew and like everyone put into it. It's incredible.
I still think lots of people will rewatch this for the rest of their lives, and it will be iconic and one of the best TV shows ever. It's not tainted because of this.
Yeah.
It is slightly, but it doesn't retroactively. It does a little bit, but if you ignore it, it doesn't retroactively ruin all the things that have come previously.
Was there any characters that we needed to discuss? Like, should we discuss kind of characters overall? Like things we kind of discussed. We've pretty much discussed John.
Yep.
I mean, Danny, we've kind of raised the fact that they kind of made her too simplistic and retarded.
Yeah.
Tyrion, I mean, Tyrion used to be the smartest guy pretty much in the show.
Yeah.
Until...
Ever since he started advising Danny pretty much. Like,
yeah,
when he became hand of the Queen, that's when his intelligence rating sort of just dropped.
Exactly. And no one knows why.
Yeah, it was a decision that was made, and it doesn't make sense. Yeah. He's still the smartest character in all of Westeros. He's incredibly well read, because that's what he did. You know, he read books all his life. One of the most smartest characters in that sense. And
he calls it like a whetstone for the mind or something.
Yeah,
in like the very
pretty much.
First episode, I think.
Yeah. So it almost feels like, you know, before season 5, every character is like, if you can imagine the roots of a tree, that's how much foundation they've got. And season 6 to 7 is just like one stem, like the character development from that point on. Just such a simple development of like so many characters that were so beloved by so many fans. And yeah, Tyrion is just one example of the many.
The three-eyed raven, they never fucking explain. Like, there's one thing. Tyrion raises the fact that Bran is a three-eyed raven. No one knows what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Even the Starks don't know what it means.
They're throwing
he hasn't
it
explained
around.
it to... So, the main, like, one of the main OP characters, they don't explain why he's like that. Or they don't really go into it.
Yeah. The name in the books is because Brynden Rivers lost an eye during one of his battles. And because of his ability to warg and green seer and stuff, he was given, like, you know...
a three-eyed crow.
Yeah, like they say he had the eyes, the eyes, when he was Master of Whisperers, they said he had the eyes of 1001.
Yeah.
And he ended up being given the name Three-Eyed Crow, is the name he gave himself to, effectively.
Is that because he goes up to the... Because you're a crow if you're a member of the Night's Watch as well.
No, it was when he went... It was when he
becomes Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
I think their name only stuck to him when he became part of the Weirwood Tree.
Okay.
And he called himself the Three-Eyed Crow, or the Three-Eyed Raven. Yeah. So I don't know why that name goes to Bran, per se. Like, that name doesn't actually have that same weight, but yeah.
The other thing is, I think one good thing I guess we should probably bring up. I don't know, are you going to...
read the books, Tarun?
Look, probably not.
Okay. Well, like, I think when...
Me, Kishore and Buji were discussing it. Well, we're reading a lot of Reddit and stuff. Essentially, like, there were some big
things that have been left out of Game of Thrones that really should have been kept in, which could have possibly just turned it upside down and made it a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
One of which was like the character assassination of Euron Greyjoy, because in the books he's not this idiot pirate dude.
He's not a fuckboy.
Goes around 360 no-scoping dragons and one day and fucking jumping, getting absolutely assaulted the next day. But he's like this real mysterious character that is kind of happens to rock up on the same day that Balon happens to die.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that explicitly links him to the death, but you know there's something wrong with this guy. You hear that he's like a pedophile, he's a rapist, he rapes Victarion's wife.
I think so, yeah. He rapes a lot of people.
Oh, mate, it's like fucked. And he gets kicked out of the Iron Islands for that reason. But then, as he returns, the guy who banished him, his older brother, just happens to die.
Yeah.
And
this guy knows some shit. Like you get hints of it in the books, but he's traveled all over the map of wherever Westeros is located. It's hints that he's been to Southaros and he's been west of Westeros. He knows things about the world, and it's almost like he's just this very chaotic character, and you don't know what he's going to do next, but you know it's going to have a serious impact on the story.
There's something really underlyingly weird going on with him, and you don't know why he's doing certain things.
Yeah.
When he rocks up, his whole... you know, like, I mean, the Iron Islands is going through this... They're trying to figure out who their leader is.
Kingsmoot,
Yeah, the Kingsmoot is amazing
in
the books. And there's 3 main characters, right? There's, Yara? Or was she Arsha?
Arsha in the books, yeah.
It's her versus Victarion versus Euron.
Yeah.
And Victarion's like this other fucking crazy dude, but not as crazy as Euron, but crazy.
Yep.
And so, like, essentially, he suggests that they go and essentially woo Dany.
Yeah.
Marry Dany.
Yeah.
And then bring her and use her dragons to defeat the rest of Westeros to support her. And like, the real mysterious thing is this guy has, like, Valyrian steel armor. So he's been places and he's done some
He's been to Valyria, and like you don't go to Valyria because of the dragon scale like disease.
And he has these massive horns, these dragon binder horns that whoever blows on it, they die instantly.
But they become the master of a dragon. That's the theory. Like the lore is that you blow the horn and you become the master of the dragon, but you die, and it's like...
And he cuts all the tongues off the people in his ship. Like, this guy's mad.
Mad character.
And so he was like this strategic option that kind of balanced a lot of things out in the south.
Yep.
When kind of the Lannisters... When you thought they were gaining control, then this guy comes in and fucks around. And then the other thing was not having the Aegon Targaryen. So in the books, there's one person that they kind of say is... Aerys' son that was...
Rhaegar's son.
Sorry, Rhaegar's son.
Rhaegar and Elia's son, who apparently was killed by the mountain. That
actually was
he's claiming to be that child.
Or at least people around him say that he is a child.
Yeah.
And he eventually rocks up to Westeros, takes over Storm's End, and kind of with combination with the support of Dawn, is like the next kind of rival to King's Landing.
Yeah. Like the books have a lot more contenders for the throne. And there's a lot more intricate politics because they actually describe each of the locations in much more depth. Like in the show, you really only have the North and King's Landing towards season 7 and 8. Really, they don't touch much on Highgarden, Dawn, the Riverlands, the Crownlands, like Storm's End and stuff. So.
And at the same time, you have a lot of these old mercenary companies that are now coming over to Westeros, and they're, I mean, if originally Blackfires, Targaryens, and so that's why they support Aegon, kind of. And so there's a lot of interesting things going on. Barristan Selmy's still alive, and him and Tyrion are the ones that are holding down the fort.
For Dany,
And Jorah's gone. Has he been banished?
He's been... I can't know. I need to read the books. I think he's been banished. Yeah, he's been banished.
So it's it's interesting. It's
definitely. And like I guess
there's a lot more plot threads they could have explored, but they kind of didn't get there.
Yeah. I mean, even something like Howland Reed, like he's yet to come in the books. We don't know where he is.
Is it Moat Cailin? No. What's his thing called?
No. But I know his symbol's the crocodile, and he's in like the Mudlands, the frog. They're called frogmen or something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like
their homeland's hidden.
Yeah, it is. It's like a moving castle or whatever.
Which is
like
where
Hal's moving castle.
Jojen and Mira are from there, and they don't really talk about it.
Yeah. But it's just like it's a lot of plot threads, and it's like if you are interested in more in like an in-depth story of what you just saw in the series, definitely read the books.
Yeah.
Get onto it. 100%. Read them. Well,
if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, I guess, definitely read the books.
They'll be far more interesting. It was harder for people to read the books back when we were only like 1 or 2 seasons in.
Yeah.
But now that you've got all this, you should really read the books and you'll really understand why things happen. And it's definitely going to be a better storyline. Yeah. I can definitely tell you that.
Some characters who die in the show are still alive in the books.
Like Stannis.
And even Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah.
And even Rob's wife. Rob's wife doesn't die at the Red Wedding in the book.
That's true.
The books. So if you're a fan of Rob and his partner, then give the books a go.
All right. Anything else to talk about?
I think we could sit here for hours talking about this sort of stuff. But
I'm out of
for the sake of
think about it at the moment.
Cool. So final ratings then, or
what's your rating, Tarun?
Oh, I gave my rating. It's the Infinity Stone rating.
Oh, you're doing that.
You don't do normal ratings anymore?
No normal ratings anymore.
No, it's just the Infinity Stone. But you guys can give a rating if you want.
For this show, overall, I reckon this show is a 9 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. If we're talking about the show Game of Thrones, season 1 all the way to season 8, 9 out of 10.
What would you rate this season, though?
The season? Fuck.
Yeah, mainly this season, what would you rate?
I got to think about this one. You can go first.
I'd go 3 out of 10. And I'd go 3 out of 10 because mainly it's made up of the visual aspect. The 3 out of 10 is from the visuals.
Yeah.
And I think there's only so much visuals can compensate for when there's terrible writing.
Yeah. I'd have to. I'd give it a 4 out of 10, just because it was a difficult task they set for themselves. They obviously had the resources, but they chose not to utilize them to make the series longer. But with what they had and how they did it, yeah, I'd say 4 out of 10. I would say probably a 2 for the cast as well. Like, the cast and crew did a great job.
Oh yeah, that's
delivering
true.
I
think all
parts.
the criticism was given to the actors did an amazing job.
Yeah,
it's really it's Dan and Dave.
It's D&D. Yeah,
they're the ones that cut everything short. It was them.
Yeah,
for the sake of Star Wars, the fucking bastards. Fuck Star Wars.
Yeah,
I hope it's shit. I really do.
All right, I think we'll finish it up there. Unless you guys have anything else to say.
Nah, not really.
Not this stage.
Not really. Just fuck Star. No, I'm not gonna. I'm hoping Star Wars is good, so that this wasn't done in vain.
We'll get you both back for the D&D Star Wars trilogy, and you guys can shit on that as well.
When's that going to come out?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
It's not until like 2020.
I really do hope
2021. Sorry,
to just
2021.
prove the fact that all the credit for the first 4 seasons was from George R. Martin's writing, and not from Dan and Dave. Because you know what would be even worse? Imagine if they were good. And it's like, did you guys actually, you were really good at this stuff and you just didn't put the effort in for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that would suck.
And you had the ability to make it amazing.
Agreed.
All right then. So if you want to email us or tweet at us about more Game of Thrones, maybe you liked it and you thought we were just talking bullshit, then let us know.
Yeah, actually,
I don't want Bran because I don't like disabled people. Did you see that tweet? There was
you saved up at the end.
This viral tweet went out going,
"Oh, I can't believe everyone's annoyed that Bran is the king. That's just showing that people don't like disabled people and discrimination." I'm like, fucking what the fuck? Are you serious?
I don't think that's the reason. But yeah,
it was the reason for me though. But yeah.
So you can hit us up on Gmail at Cognitive Recalibration Podcast at gmail.com, on Facebook at Cognitive Recalibration Podcast, and Instagram, and tweet at us at C Recalibration. And we're on all the podcasting networks, which you guys say Spotify is pretty good, don't you?
I think so, yeah. It's definitely easily accessible and high quality as well.
Well, thanks. Thanks, both of you, for being on this episode. I would have been lost because I'm not generally that versed in Game of Thrones, so thank you both for kind of being the experts on this one.
No, that's fine. I'm glad we had you, because if it was just me and Kireeti, we would have just been roasting the shit for 5 hours straight.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks to Shravan for being here.
Yes, wait, he's not here.
I thought so.
He's not here. The bastard.
My series gone off? Okay. That's weird. All
right, then we will catch the listeners on the next episode of Cognitive Recalibration then.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.